They told you heaven was somewhere above the clouds, a place you had to die to reach. But what if the true temple of God was hidden inside your body, sealed behind bone and blood, waiting to be awakened? Long ago, sages whispered this secret in riddles. Jesus cloaked it in parables, and across distant lands, from the stone eyes of Horus in Egypt to the burning foreheads of yogis in India, the same symbol appeared, a single eye, always watching, never blinking. The Vatican carved it into stone, a pine cone at the heart of St. Peter's. Hindu mystics called it the Ajna chakra, the seat of sight beyond sight. And in the skull of every human being, tucked between the hemispheres like a golden seed, it waits, the pineal gland. Some say it's the eye of God. Others, the gate between worlds, a spark of divinity wired directly into your flesh. But here's the part they never told you. This tiny gland doesn't just sit there. It secretes an oil, a sacred fluid known in ancient texts as Christos. And when this oil rises, not metaphorically but literally, when it climbs the spine like a serpent of light, something awakens, something the ancients died to protect. And for those few who know the timing, who know how to move it, who know how to keep it from falling, the entire body becomes a living temple. The mind, a burning bush, and the eye, the one Jesus spoke of, begins to open. You've been taught to search for God in cathedrals. But what if the Messiah was waiting in your solar plexus? What if Bethlehem was a place inside your gut? And what if the resurrection wasn't a historical event, but a monthly process in your nervous system? This is not religion. This is sacred biology. This is esoteric anatomy. This is the secret journey of the Christ seed, an alchemical river that flows through your spine. And those who learn how to raise it unlock the light of the world. Inside your skull, at the crossroads of thought and silence, there rests a narrow, shimmering chamber. It's called the claustrum. Few know its name. Fewer still know its power. From this sacred chamber flows a fluid, not ordinary, not chemical, but alchemical, a golden secretion. Born in the cerebrum, the highest part of the brain, often referred to as heaven in ancient texts. The ancients called this substance Christos. It is the oil of anointing, the hidden manna, the seed of light. Once released, it begins its descent, flowing down the spine like a divine traveler leaving the temple. Its path mirrors a cosmic fall from the dome of heaven into the depths of the flesh. This sacred descent passes through the spinal cord, a ladder of light and shadow, until it reaches the sacral plexus, a region long misunderstood, yet rich in symbolic names. In Hebrew lore, it was Sodom and Gomorrah. In esoteric Christian texts, it was hell. In Hindu teachings, it is the Muladhara, the root, the base. Why? Because this is the seat of desire, the cave of instincts, the place where spirit is most deeply buried in matter. And yet, here, at the bottom of the temple, is where the miracle begins. Each month, exactly when the moon aligns with the sun's position at your birth, a seed is born in this lower chamber, invisible, electric, divine. This is your Bethlehem, not a city in the Middle East, but a spiritual womb behind your navel, your solar plexus, where the Christ seed takes root. The seed waits, the oil arrives, and when they meet, when the anointed oil touches the newborn light, something ancient is set in motion, a resurrection. But only if the sacred fluid is preserved, only if it is not spilled, because this oil, this elixir of life, is also fragile, destroyed by indulgence, scattered by lust, burned by anger, poisoned by stress and poor diet. The ancient texts spoke of it with warnings and reverence. To lose this oil was to fall again, to preserve it was to begin the climb. And those who knew the path, those who practiced the inner alchemy, spoke of gifts returning, visions, dreams, strength, light. Some said the gods walked with them, others became gods themselves. Beneath your ribs, behind the rise and fall of your breath, is a cradle of flame, a sacred forge known as the solar plexus. To modern science, it's just a tangle of nerves. To the ancient mystics, it was Bethlehem, the house of bread, the place where divine nourishment is born. And once a month, precisely when the moon returns to the zodiac sign it occupied at your birth, a seed is quickened within this hidden Bethlehem. It is not physical, it is not visible, but it is real. The ancients spoke of it as the Christ seed, a spark of divine potential, encoded with your original blueprint. And just as the biblical Christ was born among animals, this inner Christ is born within your animal self. the instincts, urges, and appetites that dominate the lower chakras. But birth is only the beginning, because the sacred oil, Christos, descends for one purpose: to anoint this seed. And when they meet, when the oil touches the living germ, an alchemical process begins. The seed becomes charged, activated, it begins to rise. But not as it came. The oil has fallen from heaven. Now it must return as light. This ascent is no longer passive. It requires your will, your discipline, your devotion. Because everything conspires to steal the seed: the world of appetite, the mind of chaos, the noise of addiction, distraction, excess. Just as Herod sought to kill the infant Christ, your lower nature seeks to destroy this sacred child before it can rise. But if you guard it, if you protect it through silence, purity, and awareness, the oil begins its journey back, carrying the seed with it. And what rises is no longer just fluid, it is conscious fire. The miracle of Bethlehem was never just about a baby in a manger. It was about the divine reborn inside you, again and again, month after month, until the temple glows from within. This is the true nativity. This is the rebirth of God in man, and the next stage is the climb. The climb begins in silence, no fanfare, no trumpets, just a subtle stirring. As the sacred oil begins its return, it rises not in a straight line, but in a spiral, twisting upward through the spine like a serpent made of light. This is no coincidence. The ancients carved it into stone. Two serpents entwined around a staff, the caduceus, symbol of healing and transformation. To yogis, they are Ida and Pingala, twin channels of energy coiling around the central column. One carries the essence of the pituitary gland, cool, magnetic, lunar, milk, the divine feminine. The other holds the fire of the pineal gland, warm, electric, solar, honey, the divine masculine. Together they rise around the sushumna, the central channel, and where they meet at the chakras, they spark new levels of awareness, like rungs on a ladder to heaven. This is Jacob's ladder, rising from the root to the crown. This is the tree of life, whose branches reach both earth and sky. And as the oil ascends, it crosses thresholds: the sacral gate of desire, the solar plexus, the house of the seed, the heart, the garden of compassion, the throat, the cave of truth, until finally, it reaches the upper spine. Here it encounters the vagus nerve, the tree's central trunk, stretching from brainstem to gut, weaving together emotion, breath, and inner knowing. This crossing is the crucifixion. Not a metaphorical death, but the still point, where the physical dissolves and spirit begins to awaken. The oil is crucified at the medulla oblongata. It enters a sacred pause, 2.5 days, mirroring the death of Christ. It appears lifeless, dormant, entombed in the cerebellum, the tomb behind your head. And then, on the third day, it rises, not with thunder, but with light. The oil ignites, it ascends to the optic thalamus, the so-called light of the world, and from there, it awakens the pineal gland. What was oil becomes flame, what was hidden becomes sight. And this fire doesn't burn the flesh, it illuminates it. You begin to see with a single eye, and the body becomes filled with light. At the center of your brain, behind thought, behind language, lies a tiny crystalline structure, shaped like a pine cone, no larger than a grain of rice, the pineal gland. It has no twin. It sits alone, deep within your skull, bathing in cerebral fluid, surrounded by light-sensitive tissue. It is your inner eye, your watcher in the dark. Mystics called it the seat of the soul, the gateway between the seen and the unseen, a portal from flesh to spirit. And when the sacred oil rises after it has been crucified, refined, and resurrected, it touches the pineal gland, and something ancient awakens. For 2.5 days, the oil rests at the optic thalamus, just as the moon pauses in its cycle. The body stills, the inner light begins to shimmer. Then, on the third day, the energy surges forward, it activates the pineal gland, and in that moment, the throne of God is lit. Ancient Egyptians knew this moment well. They called the pineal the eye of Horus, the symbol of divine perception. Indian sages placed a dot upon the forehead, the Ajna chakra, the third eye. Even in Christian iconography, the pine cone appears again and again, from the staff of the Pope to the heart of the Vatican, a silent witness to the truth hidden in plain sight. But why all the reverence? Because when the pineal is active, it begins to produce a golden fluid. A viscous, radiant essence that shimmers with dimethyltryptamine, DMT. Not just a chemical, but a spirit molecule, a key, one that opens the doors between dimensions, one that allows you to see not with your physical eyes, but with the eye that sees within. And this is what Jesus meant when he said, "If thine eye be single, thy whole body shall be filled with light." This eye does not look out. It looks through illusion, through identity, through time. It pierces the veil, and when it opens fully, you begin to remember not information, not facts, but who and what you truly are. You are not the mask, not the name, not the story. You are the temple. You are the Christ rising. You are the light. You've heard of it in myth, seen it drawn in ancient carvings, whispered through every sacred tradition, the tree of life. Not a fantasy, not a symbol alone, but a living structure, branching through your body, rooted in your spine, stretching toward heaven. Its trunk is the vagus nerve, the great wandering highway of your nervous system, running from brainstem to gut, touching lungs, heart, stomach, and more. It is the sacred river that carries the signal of spirit to flesh. And when the oil rises, it travels upward through this tree, step by step, vertebra by vertebra, 33 in total. Just as Jesus was crucified at age 33, the sacred oil must ascend 33 segments of your spine to reach its highest home. This is not allegory. This is esoteric biology. Each vertebra is a gate, each chakra a lock, and only through discipline, through breath, silence, restraint, do these gates begin to open. The heart is the first major threshold. Here, the oil must pass through the center of compassion. If the heart is hardened, the path closes. But if the heart is soft, the oil continues. It rises to the throat, the voice of truth, then to the medulla oblongata, the junction of death and transformation. And when it crosses the vagus nerve here, something extraordinary happens. The optic thalamus ignites. The pineal gland receives, and a bridge is formed between the lower self and the divine mind. This is the gate of heaven, not a location in the sky, but a portal within you. The ancients called it the Holy of Holies, the inner sanctum of the temple where only the high priest could enter. Now you are the priest, and your own biology is the temple. But this temple is not accessed through dogma, not through belief, only through energy rising like incense from root to crown. The tree of life is not outside you, it is you. And when the oil reaches the top, when it crosses all gates and floods the upper brain with divine light, you don't just see God, you become what you were always meant to be. A living flame, a breathing temple, a vessel of divine consciousness. The oil is sacred, but it is not invincible. What rises can also fall, what awakens can be scattered. This is the secret the ancients guarded, not with swords, but with silence. Because the journey of the Christ seed is not automatic. It must be protected, preserved, and prepared for by you. You are the guardian of the flame, the keeper of the temple, and everything you do, every thought, every bite, every breath, either lifts the oil upward or pulls it down into the dust. The old texts speak of it in riddles, but the message is clear: do not spill the oil. What does this mean? It means discipline. It means watching the tides of your desire and not letting them crash uncontrollably onto the shore. The oil is destroyed by overindulgence, by excessive food, alcohol, stimulation, and especially by the loss of the seed. Every month, when the seed is born at your Bethlehem, you are given a window, 3 sacred days. During this time, your body becomes a chalice, and that chalice must not leak. Sexual energy is not sinful, but it is potent, and when misused, it depletes the very essence that must rise. But when honored, it becomes jet fuel for the divine. The mystics knew this. They fasted during the window. They meditated, they bathed in sunlight and silence. They breathed slowly, deeply, in rhythm with the cosmos. Some chanted ancient tones, frequencies that vibrated the pineal gland like a tuning fork. Others simply watched their thoughts, refusing to feed the wolves of anger, fear, or lust. Why? Because all of it matters. What you eat becomes your blood. What you feel becomes your chemistry. What you believe becomes your biology. And to raise the oil, you must become a vessel worthy of light. Not perfect, not ascetic, but clean, clear, focused. Like a mountain pool, still enough to reflect the stars. This is not dogma, it is sacred physics. You are an alchemical engine, and the oil is your divine charge. Protect it, not with fear, but with reverence. Because when the seed rises, you rise. And when the temple is lit, you remember that you are not just a student of God. You are its living expression. The oil has risen, the temple is lit, the eye has opened, but this is not the end. Because the resurrection was never meant to be observed from a pew. It was meant to be embodied, lived. The secret of the Christ is not in history. It is in you, in your cells, in your spine, in your breath. Every moment is an altar. Every choice, a prayer. You are not watching a miracle. You are the miracle, becoming aware of itself. And if this truth has stirred something inside you, if it's unlocked a memory older than your name, a whisper of something sacred you were always meant to find, then this is your sign. You were never meant to follow blindly. You were meant to awaken. So drop a comment below saying, "I carry the light," to affirm what you already know deep down, that the kingdom isn't coming, it's returning through you. And if you want to go deeper, if you're ready to walk the ancient path, step by step, seed by seed, subscribe now. For more sacred knowledge, hidden practices, and esoteric truths they never wanted you to remember. You didn't find this video by accident. Your consciousness brought you here. This moment was written into your story long before you pressed play. Now the gate has opened, the oil is rising, and the next stage of your journey begins now.